here in the UK, we have our store where you can purchase the books, scrolls, and audio tapes and everything that we have in stock. We also take care of your health because our doctrine is a 360 physical and a 360 what people would term spiritual doctrine. So it's a completion of both the unseen and the seen world. So we make sure that we look after our health as well as our other beings, spiritual being, soul, spirit, etheric, etc., etc. All right, so we also have the chat facility on Clubhouse, on Zoom, and on TikTok. You can ask questions, and we'll do our best to answer those. We have other student teachers as well that will be, looking at the chat in case I might miss a question. All right. So without further ado, I'm gonna go into today's topic, which is the revelations of Sabaeans, and I'm sure for those who view the screens, look at the title and the cover of the book. Right. I know for those of you who might think, how come you have it? Because people always say, do you have the PDF? Send me the PDF. We have to emphasize that these are copyrighted material of the master teacher, Panda Babyanun. We as student teachers, I actually buy the scroll as well. So this is my own copy that I've actually ripped apart and put into a PDF. It just makes it easier for those online to see and follow along with the, when we're reading. Now, I'm hoping, that's why I've got part 1 and part 2. I'm hoping that between part 1 and part 2, we will cover the entire scroll. And before I even touch on the revelation of Sabaeans, I'm going to read an excerpt from this scroll called Leviathan, or the 666, Leviathan, the beast, as the Antichrist. This book comes in 4 parts, and this is from the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, Pana Babyanun. Just trying to see if I can locate the date when it was first published. I think it was in the 90s. I can't see the date here, but it was in the 90s. And why is this book so important? When you're dealing with Leviathan, you're dealing with, when I mentioned in the introduction, how we've been bamboozled, tricked by way of the spell. The spell is called the spell of Leviathan, the spell of Kingu, the spell of sleep, the spell of ignorance. There are very telling titles in terms of what they've done to us. So what I'm going to do is just read. I'm not going to read the full introduction, but there's a bit I would like to read. Actually, maybe I will read that. Okay, so I'm going to start on page 3. Okay, actually, I will read. It's a bit of a long read, but I will read it because every time I'm trying to skip, I'm finding out that the previous part is as relevant. So I will read it. So it says, author's note. I have devoted my visit to this planet to the resurrection of the mentally dead. In fact, let me just make sure. People on Zoom, can you hear us? Can somebody just confirm? And someone on...
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Because sometimes
Yes.
I'll be going so far ahead and then people are like, I can't hear you. All right, let's go.
No, you sound good.
Author's note. I have devoted my visit to this planet to the resurrection of the mentally dead, which I affectionately refer to as mummies. Never did I know that the evil one had done such a great job with these people, both mentally and physically, as to have them hate self and kind. My greatest dilemma and hindrance has been the black devil, born amongst you and by you, married to you, socializing with you, praying in the same sacred houses of worship as you. But secretly, they have a spiritual pact with the devil, which makes it near impossible for them to totally surrender to the true word. Their very nature won't let them. It's in their seed, from Genesis 3:15 and from 1 Peter 5:9-10. There is a cursed seed of devils who are the Canaanites, who work with the original devil, the serpent man, lizard people, or reptilians. However, it's not about race when it comes to evil, because there are black and white evil people. But for the few chosen from the many called, I sift to find those beings that wish to become one with the Supreme in all, those that wish to know the way, the truth, and the light to our Heavenly Father, okay, or to the Mapanatharu, our ancestors, creators of all, and has chosen, and He's chosen anointed ones. Okay, so it says, that's Psalms 2:2, the kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the existing one, living one, and against the anointed Messiah. All right, so let me keep going and I'll come back to that anointed Messiah, make a footnote. I am known throughout the mystical schools as the incarnation of Tahuti, Thoth, student of the great Tum, known as Atumre, the first point of resurrection from ignorance to the right knowledge, the right wisdom, and the right understanding, called Nuwapu, Wu-Sabat, the Amen, Revelation 3:14. I have blended in with each of the religions most interesting to my people. I lived as one of them and practiced as one of them in order to reveal the misconceptions of these doctrines that have plagued and diseased the minds of my people, created by Leviathan to enforce a spell over the lost sheep called religion, beliefs, and or faiths. Amongst the Arabs of Al-Islam, in the scroll 196, degree of Mohammedism, I, as a Muslim, was known as Asaid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, 1945 AD, and still living, or simply Imam Isa. Under Sheikh Dawood Ahmad Faisal in 1891 to 1980 AD, a Moor by birth of Morocco, read scroll 165, Sheikh Dawood versus W.D. Fard by Noble Dr. Malachi Z. York L., 33 degrees over 720, who was the founder of the Sunni Islam in America and also the Islamic Mission in America, who himself was a Shriner, being fluent in the many dialects as well as the classical Arabic language. I translated word for word without biasness in favor of the Islamic religion, scroll 176, the Noble's Quran, from Ashuric Syriac Arabic into English. I sat, that's this Quran here for those who may not be familiar with that. All right. Right, so he carries on and he says, I sat beneath the great Shuyuk elders as a student, one of which was Mahmud Muhammad Mahmud and the great master Karama Sheikh Al-Hassun of the Kaliwati order of Sufis out of Sudan, as a Mahdiya or Ansarullah, and studied scroll 9, the Ratib, which is the Mahdi's expression of love for his creator, completed in 1885 AD. And I recognized it and printed it for them. As a Moorish American under the teachings of Prophet Noble Jew Ali, 1886 to 1929 AD, as a Moorish card holder holding member since 1973 AD, M. York L., I republished and revised scroll 219, the Holy Quran, Circle 7. Sorry, that was the one I just held up. Yeah, the Holy Quran, Circle 7. And their connection with the Nation of Islam, known as NOI, known as the Black Muslims, encouraged me to do an in-depth study of the teachings of Master W.D. Fard, Allah in person, to his final messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Malcolm X and Minister Louis Farrakhan. Read scroll 166, postgraduate, The Renewal of the Lesson, Zig Zag Zigs by Noble Dr. Malachi Z. York L. 333 degrees over 720 degrees. All of whom were also admitted Freemasons. I released several books explaining in depth their doctrine, which led me to another ex-member of the Nation of Islam called Clarence 13X, a self-styled Allah who found the 5% nation of gods and goddesses. I collected data and published the Problem Book, their interpretation of the English class lessons of the Nation of Islam. Amongst the Hebrew Israelites, while in the degree of Mosism, scroll number 194, I was known as Rabboni Yeshua Bar el-Hadi. As a Hebrew, I was given a bar mitzvah in the year 1958 AD by the great Rabbi Wentworth Arthur Matthews, 1892 to 1965 AD, leader of the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews of Harlem at age 13. Through the school of Judaism, I translated the Torah and the Psalms from the ancient Hebrew into English. Amongst the Christians in the degree of Christism, scroll number 195, I studied the Jehovah's Witnesses, whose founder, Charles Taze Russell, 1852 to 1916 AD, and another leader, Joseph B. Rutherford, 1869 to 1942 AD. Stay with me, don't fall asleep. I know what it's like. It's a lot of information, but I've got to get through it. AD were also Freemasons, as was the founder of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, 1911 to 1986 AD, and even the founder of the Mormons, Joseph Smith, 1805 to 1844 AD. I was known as Reverend Dr. Malachi Z. York, or Dr. York L., pastor and founder of the Holy Tabernacle Ministries, and later Reverend and founder of the Egyptian Church of Christ Inc., the Holy Seed Baptist Synagogue Inc., and the Amen Institute. Through the School of Christism, I translated and explained the books of Revelation from the Galilean Arabic and the ancient Greek. Read books 203, Jesus Found in Egypt by Noble Dr. Malachi Z. York L. 33 degrees over 720 degrees. All of these new sects of Muslims, Christians, Hebrews, Israelites, and the mystic groups were all founded by Freemasons. In this day and time, I received a new holy tablet, Book 172, the Book of Lamb, prophesied by the messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, our own scripture, that each day as scientists, astronomers, paleontologists, and the likes uncover new evidence confirming that this holy tablet was indeed divinely inspired and is not merely a book, the Book of Lamb, but a revelation, a holy scripture with prophecies of the future which are manifesting daily. Also, I translated Al-Katub, Shil El-Mawut, the Book of the Dead, the book of the coming forth by day, which is this scroll here, again, for those who may not be familiar with it. All right. And the one I was just talking about, the holy tablets, is this one. All right. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. The book of the coming forth by day, originally called Coming Forth from the Darkness into the Light, commonly called today the Egyptian Book of the Dead, after its discovery in the many tombs of the deceased as Amun Nebu-Re Akhtar. I also released a series of books called Behind the Nine Ball and Bible Misinterpretations and Explanations in 1967 AD. I felt it my duty as the true reformer and savior to my people to make that which is unclear clear. I have also revealed the doctrine of those called the Hebrew Israelites and the likes with a series of books called 360 Questions to Ask and 3 volumes of over 1,000 pages each entitled The Degree of Mosism, The Degree of Christism, and The Degree of Mohammedism, covering any question that anyone could have pertaining to any of the 3 monotheistic religions as taught by the Canaanites who tampered with them over the years. I have also traveled the rough and rugged path of Freemasonry all my life. Never once did I deny this to any, and have crossed the burning sands and have arrived as the Imperial Grand Potentate worldwide, affiliated with the ancient Arabic and Oriental Order nobles of the Mystic Shrine, New Mecca Temple number 11, Oasis, Macon, Desert, Georgia, Noble Bishop T. W. Smith, Jr., 33 degrees over 95 degrees, as well as Mecca Temple number 1, Ancient Arabic Order Nobles of the Mystic Shrine of North and South America, Inc., the Grand Jurisdiction of Georgia Noble, Harold Martin, and IGP of AEO and ANOMS, Al-Mahdi Shrine Temple number 19, Oasis, Macon, Desert, Georgia, Northern and Southern jurisdictions. The Ancient Egyptian Order, Arab Noble of the Mystic Shrine worldwide, Al-Mahdi Shrine Temples, and Sorala worldwide as an Imperial Grand Potentate, Grand Mufti, also over the Sisters of Fatima, Shrine of Ladies Haram number 19, worldwide, and Shiloh Chapter 3, OES, Order of the Eastern Star, and their many subchapters worldwide, also acting in the position of the Sovereign Grand Commander of the Nawapian Worldwide Grand Lodges, Oasis, Monrovia, Desert, Liberia, West Africa, also the Deputy Grand Master affiliated with the Pride of Georgia, Grand Lodge, AF and AM 33, 33rd Scottish Rite, Freemason, and Amos Grand Lodge of Macon, Georgia. I entered, right, we're going to go 1.5 pages ago. I entered the order of the Akakia and under the most worshipful master, the 3rd Charles Tinsley, 33rd degree of King Solomon's Lodge, number 4 of Brooklyn, New York. Also, I passed at the New York Grand Enoch Lodge in Brooklyn, New York, on Putnam and Nostrand Avenue, Prince Hall affiliated, and of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite Freemasonry, AF and AM, jurisdiction of Georgia, called Zerubbabel Grand Chapter Royal Ark Mason, United States and Canada. In my heart and in my mind, from my experiences, the sectism and the separation will be eliminated by the efforts of those amongst us whose concerns are Freemasonry and Shrinedom and not self-gains and egos. My travels took me throughout the world, from sitting with the mystics and the monks under the Tibetan master Lama Mot Kokomwa of China, to the Grand Lodge in Cairo, Egypt, Northeast Africa, to being a member of the Rosicrucian Order Science 1974 AD, as well as Astara Mystic Order since 1975 AD, for more than 25 years, as the Supreme Grand Hierophant of the Ancient Egyptian Order, AEO, Mir Pyramid number 9. My family have been Freemasons for generations in Virginia's Zen Shriner Temple number 122, Newport News, Virginia, and Daughters of Isis, Zen Court number 98, Prince Hall affiliated. I stepped onto the White Lodge Freemasonry, the White Nile, from the Black Egyptian mystery as Tahuti, Thoth, called Hermes thrice times great, the possessor of the master's key, keeper of the secret word, to become a Haru, Horus, Hiru, a companion of the great Hierophant Amhotep, the scribe of the secret doctrine, conferrer of the 720 degrees in the secret number 9, and the guardian of the 9th gate, rising from the 9th chamber, in possession of the secret, which will give you the power to realign yourselves. I was there, which is here, when the words, let there be light, literally meaning become, exist, be, come into being, and light was uttered, it was actually a request to the Most High by the Natharu called, by the Elohim called Anuna, Anunnaki, Orisha, Dene, Malakat, Nomos, Natirat, angels to allow the green light to exist. I have stood, the last part of the reading now, I have stood the test of time. I have been questioned by scholars and historians of all religions and denominations. I am able to answer the unanswered and solve the problems of the world. Yet my personal interest is in each and every one of you. I am not the Lord Jesus the Christ, nor am I a holy man, nor a preacher. I am a master teacher, a guide. I have resurrected in the West, the ancient fraternity AEO, with healing in my wings, Malachi 4:2, the spiritual order of our ancestors, the Egyptians, and your true bloodline under the reincarnation of Natir Amunubi Reakta, your Aferti, Para, Pharaoh, for this day and time, Atumre. I have experienced all the religions and sacred orders, and now I bring to you the ancient Egyptian order, AEO, the true order of the Egyptians called Ipet, Isut, which the University of Educational and Spiritual Knowledge of ancient Tamre, Egypt, it is referred to as the White Lodge built in 1500 BC. In the old days, that which gave birth to all others, and it, in this day and time, has become the fastest growing movement for world peace of the new millennium. You have found your way to that which you have sought all your life. Don't believe a word I say. Check it out for yourself. So, I am your brother. I am a Nubian Islamic Hebrew Moor. Only fools duck when the truth is thrown at them. Don't believe a word I say. Check it out for yourself. I do my best. All right, so that's the author's note for this scroll called Leviathan 666, the beast as the Antichrist, part 1 of 4. And why is this relevant today is because, as you see on the cover of this scroll, and we've already taught this many times, that picture is of a young Donald Trump. And he was telling us back then when this person was going to become the person known as the Antichrist ruling over this kingdom. And now, if you start to look in the papers, Philosopher, you paying attention? As you start to look in the papers, they're now calling him the king. But people don't think king of what? King of what kingdom? And that's because we've got to that point where, as the master teacher, as always, has predicted and prophesied, it's coming true. And it's about to ramp up, because the whole point of him being in that position is to bring about this completion of what people term the New World Order, right? So in this scroll, this is the number of the beast, Leviathan 666. If you read the Holy Bible, Revelation 13, 17 to 18, it tells you, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So he says here, Parnabab Yanun, Dr. Malachi Zio, it has been customary in the past for me to include an introduction in the beginning of all pamphlets and scrolls. This revised edition of Leviathan the Beast as the Antichrist contains information so profound that I, Dr. Malachi Zio, 33 degrees over 720, as well as you, will agree. Again, this book needs no introduction, right? It says, I must take a moment to mention that I have taught you of the existence of beings called extraterrestrials, extra-terra astrals, or extra beings on your planet called Terra, now called Earth. Many times before, these beings that come from their home, the 8th planet Risk of the 19th galaxy Ilion, chose me to be born at exactly the right time. This is why my mother and relatives cited the presence of the great starship on that Tuesday at 12 midnight on June 26, 1945 AD. The weather filled with an overcast of clouds and rain, which was a perfect cover for a mission. The child was then made right to make way for me, Yanun, to make my entrance. Then was born a little dark copper-toned baby, and I went into his body, and he became the son of justice, Malachi 4:2, also called As-Sayyid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, which is Ashuric, Syriac, Arabic for the Aramic Hebrew name Rabboni Yashua Bar al-Hadi, known today as Dr. Malachi Z. York, 33 degrees over 720. Yet principalities in high places try to eliminate the birth of my supreme being as written in the Holy Tablets and in Bible, Psalms 2:2-3. It says, the kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the existing one, living one, Lord, and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Right. So he goes on to explain how they try to destroy children that they consider to be, you know, these children that are coming into the world, and to maim you from having your barytheric gland, which is in connection to your four higher senses: clairvoyance, intuition, telepathy, and psychometry. Clairvoyance is the ability to see clear, to know what is going on in another place or another room without seeing the event or events with the two physical eyes. Intuition is the ability to see clear, is the ability to know what is about to happen before it happens. Telepathy is the ability to communicate messages from the mind without using verbal speech. Psychometry is the ability to be able to tell something about a person by holding an object that belonged to that person. Right. So it goes on to explain about what Leviathan is, and you know how they're trying to bring about this world where they're basically going to control everyone who is under the mark of the beast. And so today's title for the room is the revelations of the Sabaeans, as you can see on the screen. So let's start by going through that. I was because if we say the word revelations, what do you know, or what comes to mind? What do you know about the word revelation? Anyone?
Like something being revealed or about to be revealed?
Correct. Anyone else? Zoom, Clubhouse?
Bible.
Yep. Who's that?
OSM.
Okay, when you say Bible, elaborate a little bit more. OSM in the house. Big up.
The book.
Yeah, that's so there's a book in the Bible called the Revelations, right? And what is it about?
It's about the coming back of Jesus to, I guess, fight against his enemies and restore order, something like that.
Okay, that's what people think. That's what people are taught. That it's a book about Jesus, but it's really a book about this Antichrist coming that we're talking about. But people have been fooled into thinking, because it's called an anointed cherub. But we're going to go into that, and that's why this book of Revelations of the Sabaeans is nothing as in that book. That's why I wanted to clarify. But let's start reading, because as I said, I would like to finish it in these two classes I'm going to be doing. So let's start to read. As I said, as I'm reading, if you have a question at any point, feel free to just interrupt, all right? Because I do want to read it. The reason I picked it out, because everything is aligning right now. We're living in a time where people are calling the end times or the the revelation times according to the biblical stories. And when I just picked it up and I was looking at it, I realized that I highlighted a lot of it. And when I highlight a book is normally when I'm reading it, and it's just so much, like there's so much that is so profound in it. Can you guys see that on Zoom? Can you see it clearly? I'm trying to make it. You can't see the scroll. Okay, let me share. Oh, no wonder I haven't actually been sharing the right. Let me share it. Give me one moment.
Yes, we can see.
It was there. It was there.
Oh, okay. Can you see now?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yes, we've seen.
Okay. Right. So as long as my computer doesn't play up, because I always have these challenges with computers when I'm trying to convey important information. Right. It says, Pamuar Shalel Musbatu, the revelation of Sabaeans, written by the master teacher Baba Yanun, to give Musbatu, Sabaeans, our revelation and shed light on things that other religious books claim to be true or factual, when many are words of men and their misinterpretation, bound in the form of many scriptures. Other religious scriptures may also inspire for the good or towards positive works, yet have also influenced prejudice and hate and misled many to believe their way or scripture is the only means of salvation from damnation of eternal fire or suffering, among suffering commonly referred in the main monotheistic religions as hell, Sheol, or Jahannam. The truth of the matter, could the admins, because I keep getting interrupted. The truth of the matter, hell is what you make it to be by the choices, and conscious or not, you make in this life, which will determine your life in the next or afterlife, or even the need to return. Many of these termed sacred writings are nothing more than words of men, such as the ahadith, traditions or stories of accounts, the genealogy or records of the books of Genesis, of the 5 books, the Torah, or account of what happened during the time of the Muslim Prophet Muhammad, of the Muslims, or even their opinions, Sunnah, or even letters. Yeah, so I didn't. My thoughts always move so quickly. I didn't finish why I was saying I highlighted it, because there was just so much. I was just like, wow, wow, wow. So I'm like, you know what? We've got to just read it. Sometimes it's just best to listen to the master's words directly than to try and just go around answering questions. In the case of the epistle or letters of Paul in the New Testament, found in the King James Bible, many accounts are actually borrowed from ancient texts, such as the Enuma Elish and the Gilgamesh epic, the origin of many books in the Bible and Quran, and pass them along as something new or original. Within this small scripture, you will read about points from the Bible or Quran concerning what is true and what is false, who is for you and who is not, who you are from and who you are not from, what was written for you and what is not, and who you are, not what you have become or renamed. Everyone seeks facts, truth, and confirmation. No one can really endure with blind faith or hopes. To not have facts, to feel pain, fear danger, yet not know why or where to go to have it taken care of. That's blind faith, not a life to death that cannot ultimately be proven. Facts are unavoidable. Even if we only choose to have facts in our own existence, what is to be decided is what evidence we think is pertinent, how are we going to interpret that evidence, and who finds it, and will they really accept the facts over their blind faith? Ask yourself, who is your mother? She comes to mind because you know who she is. All right. Now, who is your creator? Who is your creator? God, Lord, Allah, Rab, Jah, Yahweh. You don't get an exact. One is fact and the other is fiction until confirmed. I have been guided all my life by beings who teach whatever I am asked to make it clear. All physical people have ancestors who speak to them all the time in their heads as far back as 4 generations. Some don't even know it was I who helped in their lives and have since moved on and have forgotten about me. Some people did not follow, could not keep up, and stayed behind in old schools. Others just fell away, faithful yet not true. Some wanted a holy man, a religious saint. No matter how many times I said I am not a holy man, I am a teacher, a master teacher. Outside of that, I am just like you in my human desires. I was given many powers and much help to do this great work, to redeem and save my own lost Mushkastu people. Yet I was betrayed by those whom I was sent. I was beaten, imprisoned by the Adamu Salam, Adamite race, who knows who I really am by my own given to the race of Mujwal devils. Many felt I was strange and all different. Some felt they could just use me for their needs or abuse me. I knew that all along as well, yet I had my assignment in each one's lives, so I did my job for them and moved on. Now as an elder in mind and now body, I've given all that you need and were lacking, and you truly know who you are and your purpose. I have a serene confidence in our Muslafu ancestors, overseers, Natharu, overseers, and Muzrahu, providers, guidance and protection on this journey through life as a Sabaean of Wu-Sabat. Sorry, the way this is going, I have to keep moving. Right, so here we go. Ha Mirwe Shalel Ha Musbatu, by way of the name of Parnatharu, the overseer, who came down upon Makhab Mathar, planet Earth, Baba Yanun, in order to teach Wu-Sabat to you all. 2, that was 1. 2, this is the scroll of Mirwe, revelation, no doubt about that. It is a statement, it is a testament of Pa Sahir Huk, age, the right knowledge, Pa Saheh Hakumdum, the right wisdom, the Saheh Fahum, the right understanding, the use of Jamud Saheh Nakush, sound right reasoning, that gives you Musbatu, Sabaean, Pa Saheh Fahum, the right understanding, Wu-Sabat. I, Baba Yanun, did not reveal this Mirwe revelation as, let me see if there's a way I can make this full screen. Okay. Right, 5, by way of understand revelations of others' religion. I, Baba Yanun, actually express it in the perfect way with a compassionate tongue, Misbatia, Sabaean. Furthermore, 6, I supported it with a gracious Ba'a soul, for you are the tender-hearted and the best of mortals, Musbatu, Sabaeans. Therefore, I did, Raul, reveal this scroll by verses and by Madat-at words as scripture to you, Musbatu, Sabaeans. I definitely did not inspire any Tarwu revelation for you through anyone from your midst. If someone not of us makes that claim. 9, I certainly did not inspire such a person who claims to be my successor or my Natat seed who claim I sent them, right? Because a lot of people like to claim that they're the successor of Baba Yanun. 10, yet they themselves imagine it to be so. Such muhabu liars. All right, let's keep going. Consequently, those who Shamua listen or Taboa follow them have lost the straight and narrow pathway. 12. The pathway to Harardum, freedom, Maut, justice, and Lasut Iti, equality, to return to self and kind as the Aboriginals and First World people, self-governing, independent, Musbatu, Sabaean. It is inconceivable that I, H.E. Dr. Malachi Z. York, Parnabab Yanun, would inspire any person who may abrogate our Havaba cultural origin, our Muthashab nation, Sha'ab tribe, our doctrine, our own. I'm gonna leave the Nwapika so I can get through it quickly and not confuse people. Our own revelation, contradict or decree, mislead or corrupt any of our books and their verses. The verses of the way, and overwhelmed with speech of slanderers or those blinded by others' cultures and religions. All right, keep going. I think I'm gonna have to get me to do my, move this out of the way. 14. This revelation of the once lost yet now found tribe of the original persons of this planet Earth, the Negroid race, called by many names, by many leaders and teachers, who have with open arms, mind and soul accepted the many teachings of many before Wu-Sabat, which has come as the hereafter salvation doctrine. Many of our tribe, nation, people have accepted the religious teachings of Abraham, Ibrahim, the Sumerians of Mesopotamia or of Chaldea, and the book from his own Natat, seed, the Torah, Old Testament, Gospel, New Testament, and the Quran, Last Testament. These testimonies of his Natat seed history and before him back to Adam, the father of the ruddy race. The Caucasoid race. These, the Mukradu children of Adamites, to Cainites, to Sethites, to Enoshites, to Gabarites, from Naphalites, the fallen ones, have spread and mixed their wicked and evil world over and spread it by religion. Even into our blood and minds did they invade and put to sleep our own race of Negroids. And from the Arabian comforter Ahmad or Mustafa Muhammad Al-Amin, who Yeshua, Isa, Jesus, foretold as the comforter who would have with him the Holy Spirit, angel Gabriel, Jibril, to teach him this book, Quran. Okay. So he was the comforter to his own Murabu Arab people, their Munthar warner. And Yeshua, Isa, Jesus, was asked 2,000 years ago, was he the Mashiach, Messiah? And he was asked, are you Elijah? He said, I am not. Are you that prophet? And he answered, no. So we looked for these persons, the Messiah, which he was, and after him the Comforter, which Muhammad 570 to 632 AD, and the Arabian Arab's own warner was, and then sent al-Mahdi of Sudan, Muhammad Ahmad ibn Abdul, 1845 to 1885 AD, the true Mahdi or guide. So we look for Elijah and that prophet. We received our liberator Marcus Messiah Garvey, 1887 to 1940 AD. And after him, yes, that prophet did come, noble prophet Timothy Drew Ali, 1886 to 1929 AD. And the psalmist Nestor Robert Bob Marley, 1945 to 1981 AD. So we had the Messiah, the Comforter, the Mahdi, then the Liberator, the Psalmist, Messenger, and we had that prophet asked about, right, 2,000 years ago as Prophet Noble Jew Ali. And next, we looked for Elijah, also asked about 2,000 years ago, and we received the Elijah as the messenger, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, 1897 to 1975 AD. And these were all sent with baby steps in the teachings of Abraham's Za'am religion, the Bible and Quran, to lead you up to Pa Taruk, the way, Wu-Sabat, the antidote to cure the Hajj spell, the renewer, reformer with Pa Hakak al-Hakakat, the actual facts. Each played a part in the Takhlus, salvation of a lost, and Nawum Shao, sleeping tribe, and Salau race of people who need their own power revelation. 28. I know I haven't been saying the numbers, forgive me, I just want to get through this as quick as we can. I, Baba, Ya Nun, I'm the center, Pa Khatab, the axis, have conveyed this Tahu revelation as a revelation, Tahu inspiration. I have also poured it into the Ibab heart of our chosen Sha'ab tribe. So they would announce it with articulation in the clearest of ways. This revelation is a confirmation of what Musbatu Sabaeans already have in the way and in actual facts. It is of similar value and authentication of Wu-Sabat and a destroyer of falsehood. It is also factual news and an admonition to the lost. For this reason, I implore you to accept it willingly and teach it. Kamel lay completely. For Pa Mitbrak, the way is the way to right guidance and the way to salvation. The Wa'ad promised to whoever receives its Balak message, it will strengthen their hand, refresh their heart, release them from their discouragement, forgive them their guilt, remove their shame, and let them enter Marzak, risk. Moreover, I will show them what an Ayan, eye, has never seen, and Yazan, ear, has never heard. Hakak al-Hakak, actual facts. Remember, you can always stop at any point, ask questions at any point, but I will continue until somebody asks a question. Right, so let it be recognized by all forevermore that Hakak facts are our supreme characteristics and rules. Facts are the passport to enter into our salvation and the straight pathway to Orion and Sirius star system, mystery of mysteries, which is hidden in Ashuk, divine love, if you seriously want to know. You see, I myself am Hakak, facts, Sawab, truth, Marar, love, and Rabat, peace. Whosoever loves me and loves my people truly, mercifully and peacefully, I will make a bond between them and myself. It will be a bond of Ashuk, divine love. In addition to that, I will welcome them into our mansions in the company of Muzraku, the Riskians. 41. Panen Kawun Pa Mirwe Shalel Pa Musbatu Wu-Sabat. This is the revelation of the Sabaeans of Wu-Sabat to show you our way on, a deity. Musbatu Sabaeans do not sajud, bow down, prostrate, or serve, nor are we slaves to our own ancestors who watch over us. We do not have or need a God who needs to say, have no other gods, only me, or I am the one. God, Allah. Do not join any other gods. Why claim there is no other God? Yahweh, El Shaddai, Allah, Rab. Why claim Ilah and Ashabid if he is one and only deity, greatest of himself? In this revelation of and for the Sabaeans, it is to be clear that to us, deity is, as in all and wajud exist and wajuda existed. It is called animism, ba'a, soul, living, breathing things which grew from omniverse to multiverses to dual verses to this Wahu Makhwan universe in which we were grown as part of Pa'ut, all, be Pa'ut, the all. So Pa'ut, all is, I am. We, Musbatu Sabians, don't say our Dagar deity is unseen, invisible, yet exists as a spirit, ghost, tatyuf, apparition, disembodied spirit, spectre, phantom, poltergeist, or spook who only stay with us. I know people switch off when it's just one way reading. Comes in visions. Is there any questions so far or anything? On anything?
Maybe something way back.
Yeah, please use the mic.
I know it was like way back.
It's fine.
But that part where it spoke about ahead is what you make of it, and based on the life that you live, the choices that you make now will decide your next life.
Yes.
Does that mean that based on how agreeable or disagreeable you are in this life, you decide on basically say how many benefits you get in the next life? So maybe you're born in a rich family, for example, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then does that also play a part in when it is that you will go into that next life? Because say if you're going through your ancestry line, that means you will have to wait for an agreeable couple in that ancestry line to then go through based on the choices you make.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we say you are responsible for what happens to you based on the choices you make. So, you know, in religion, they like to teach you that somebody has come and died for your sins, and therefore you're now saved and you can carry on sinning and doing everything you want to do, which doesn't really make sense, because if you think about it, if you have a lung and you need your lung to breathe and to be alive, if you say you believe that someone has come and saved you, and then now you're going to carry on smoking and damage your lung, and then now your lung is damaged and you can't breathe, and then you die from cancer or something, how does that make sense? So you judge yourself every day by way of your actions, because you know what the result's going to be. This is why we say we deal with fate, F-A-T-E, because we know that if you poison yourself and damage your lung, the result's going to be you're going to have bad health. So by you deciding to smoke, for example, you're deciding the fate of your health or your lung. You see, so we don't have blind faith. That's what blind faith is. Someone telling you, believe this with no evidence, and you just accept it and waiting to die to go to this fictitious place that they tell you you're going to go to live happily ever after, which doesn't even make sense, because when you start to ask them questions about this place, how do you get there, and who else has been there to come back and prove that it exists, and you start to look at the nuances of what they say about this place, it doesn't make sense. Because if you say to them, they say when you die and go to this place, you're going to live forever, right? So then you say, what age will I be when I get there? That's a very simple question, because there are different people, like babies, adults, the elder, people that got walking sticks. So if they died at a particular time, are they all going to remain at that age when they get there? Because they say you're going to have like gardens and honey, and you're going to meet all your family and all the people that have passed away. And then you say, if everyone's going to be the same, So babies will be, imagine how many babies are crawling around in heaven. Imagine how many people have got walking sticks and, bad health, etc., etc. And you're like, okay, what do the people do in heaven? What do people do? Huh? Do they go to work? Do they travel? Or they just float around? What do people do in heaven based on what they teach you in these religious books? When you start to break down these things, it starts to be chaos and confusion that doesn't even make sense. Because if you say, are there angels in heaven? The answer is going to be yes, because throughout the Bible, angels appear and come down and speak to people. And the thing is, when they describe these angels, they're always wearing clothes, right? They're wearing white robes. So the question is, who makes the clothes in heaven? Where does the material come from to make the robes? Because what is it? Is it cotton? Is it silk? Whatever the robe is made from, let's say it was cotton. Somebody has to grow the cotton, someone has to pick the cotton, someone has to make the clothes. And do these clothes need to be washed? Because you can't wear the same robe all the time. And if you do, then it gets dirty. So what I'm saying is, I make it sound silly, but because we don't think to ask these questions, we just have been given a picture of this place that is just so beautiful, everyone's gonna live forever, but you don't go into the details, like, what does it mean to live forever? Because would you want to live forever? Especially if you had some kind of health condition when you died. Or like you're gonna be bored to death. Because what do you do in heaven? Does everyone just walking around? So it's like the spell makes us not question and think about things in great detail. But when it comes to facts or anything that you're really concerned about, you have to pick it apart to the detail. So yes, to answer your original question, it's like you judge yourself every day by the decisions you make. And today, no one has an excuse because Wu-Sabat is here that answers the questions. This is why you can ask questions, because when you walk around the world today, 90 to 95% of people are just lost. They're literally like the walking dead, because they need that ignition, that Wu-Sabat to turn on that light within them, because everyone has what we call the green light within them. And you also have the amber light. This is where you get the whole angels things from, where the green light, if you look at the master's picture, you always see green light aura because it relates to your aura. The aura is a way that the magnetic field around you, based on how you're thinking and how your health is and how spiritual you are and all these types of things, will make you vibrate on a particular frequency and vibration or higher level. So the point is that you choose, but the thing is, because you have the different natures within you, right? You have the green light, which is of the Panatharu, our ancestors, who people are referring to as the good or the angels and so forth. And then you have the amber light, which is the disagreeable side, which is where your reptilian nature comes in, because we were actually mixed by way of the way we came out of the waters and so forth to be partly reptilian. So on the planet today, that's why I touched on the Antichrist, because the book of Revelations in their Bible is talking about this time that's going to come where the world is going to be those who are not of the right, let's say Christ, because there's different Christ. There's an Antichrist and there's a Christ. And when you say Christ, we're really talking about an anointed being that is, but like I said, with the question at the beginning, you're being bamboozled and fooled because everything is turned back to front. So people in religion are being bamboozled and fooled to worship an Antichrist and this new world that they're bringing about by way of, as I mentioned, what's going to be happening in the next, few years, going from now to the year 2030. And the kingdom or the king over that kingdom is now the person referred to as Donald Trump. And you can see already he's getting his people together to execute. And his job, the master teacher told us by way of this scroll, that he's trying to build Solomon's temple. which is to welcome this Antichrist, who is really a being called Nana of the Sumerian doctrine, which these religious books are based off of. And that's why it says that the great and morning star, how have you fallen? Well, Lucifer, right? Which is really dealing with this. But there's a lot to it. This scroll goes into a lot of detail, but to answer your question, is really about you got to learn to bring that green light, that Natharu side of you, and the Antichrist and the world we're living in is feeding the negative side of you. And this is where your reptilian nature, the fact that you're not using Wu-Sabat, you're not thinking, you're not behaving in a way that you need to be to basically make it through these times that we're in. And that's why Wu-Sabat is here. Go ahead, brother.
I just realized, I don't know if you know this, there's a movie called Wicked. I don't think I released it the other day. And what it basically, the being inside there, the wicked witch, the West African, she's green.
Okay.
So they kind of flipped it again with the Colonial Wizard of Oz when they made the witch green.
Yeah.
And basically I'm saying that to say that they made it green on purpose just to make sure it's like
throw you off.
Throw you off.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but if you look at nature, everything that's green and or healthy is green. But you basically make your choices, and that's why it's actually really sad in this day and time to see how many people are just they're not using their mind. And this is what Wu-Sabat is here to do, to activate you so that you can start thinking properly and acting properly. Did that answer your question? Or do you have, please use the mic if you are gonna speak.
Yeah, no, that answered a lot of my question. I just wanted to just like a quick one, like directly.
Yeah.
That definitely does mean that based on the life you live today will decide your afterlife.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you are your own God, essentially.
Yeah.
To decide that.
That's right.
Sure.
Yeah. But again, when we say you're God, don't also let your ego, the ego get the best of you, because like it says in Psalms 82:6, is it not written in your law that ye are gods? Then he says what after that? But all are children of the Most High. Yeah, so there is a hierarchy of what people are calling gods. And people like that. I'm God. Until you start saying, a God doesn't have needs, desires, wants. Yeah. So if you are God and you have needs and wants and desires, you're not God. That's why we say the gods of the Bible and the Quran, when we start to look into them, we say, how can a God be jealous? How can, like what I read before, how can a God, Allah, say, have no other gods but me, if there are no others to have? And why would you be jealous of your own creation? And when you start going into this God, he's very emotional. He destroys things. He asks for sacrifices. He, when somebody does something wrong, he not only like in the case of the Adam and Eve story in the Bible, he punishes everyone. The animals, they had nothing to do with it. He drowns people. He drowns everyone. So it's like when you start to look at this character, he's not almighty, all wise, all right, omnipresent, omnipotent, omni, when he can't even get rid of the devil. Why is he having such a hard time to get rid of the devil? But he's supposed to be able to have all this power to click his finger and things are, because he said, let there be light and let there be, and he can do that. He can not help you whilst you're alive, but he can punish you when you're dead in hell. So it's like, what kind of God is this? What kind of deity is this? Because people say you can speak to him by way of you praying. You're praying to him, but it doesn't answer your questions. And you can't hear him. But people will hear their own voices of their ancestors in their head and say that they're speaking to God. You see, so we in Wu-Sabat, we dissect everything and pull it apart so that you can see that you're clearly being fooled. And that's why you don't see it, because for years, people have been going to church, going to the mosque, waiting for Jesus to come for 2,000 years. And he still hasn't arrived in heaven yet. Do you know what I mean by that? because he came here from heaven, right? So he must know the way back. It's like if I came here from Brixton, I know the way back. So how long did it take me to get from Brixton to come here? On average, depending on what mode of transportation you're taking, most of us who have traveled from here to Brixton know that if you go by bus, it might take you about an hour. If you go by train, it might be quicker. If you go by car, well, roughly we can say within an hour you can get from Croydon to Brixton. Right. So we know the distance, and depending on the mode of transportation, how long it would take you to get there. Right. So Jesus came, apparently, died for your sins, and then he went back to heaven, and he's going to come back. Right. So you should know the to and fro journey, right? So if he's going to come back, but we know that the distance from here to what they're calling heaven, because in the scriptures, it tells you where heaven is. It says Orion, Kisil, which is dealing with, you know, the Orion and the Sirius star constellation. And to travel from here to there, you're dealing with light years. A light year is how long it takes light to travel, the distance it takes light to travel from where it is, like the sun, to here. So you should be able to calculate how long it's going to take him. And by that calculation of light years, he's still on his way. He hasn't even arrived in heaven yet. But yet people have waited for 2,000 years for him to come back. But it's not him. He's not coming back. And this is part of the spell. So let's keep going. Unless anyone else has a question.
Zama?
Tua,
Yeah, there's a question on Zoom.
can you read it?
And Brown, did you want to go ahead to your question?
Yeah. So could you go back to, you said Trump is part of his job is to build Solomon's temple,
Yeah.
which is to bring back Nana. So could you just go over that and who Nana is, please?
Right, thank you. So Nana is the person that in the Bible is being referred to as Nana Sin. He is the son of Enlil. Enlil is the son of Anu, right? Of the two sons, Enki and Enlil. And Enlil is the disagreeable one. And he's the one that causing the chaos and the havoc on the planet. So that's who Nana is. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. And so
Mm-hmm.
again, like correlating to the Bible, because that's what I knew.
Yeah.
It says that when Jesus is supposed to come, he's supposed to lock up the devil for 1,000 years and then release him again. Never made sense, but that's what it says.
Yeah.
So in terms of relating that back to Nana, which is of the disagreeable side,
Mm-hmm.
is coming back to do what?
All right. So this world at the moment, unless you are saved by way of Wu-Sabat, you're going to be, you can see the measures that they're putting in place at the moment. And when you read this Revelations I'm attempting to get through, it will go into the detail. And so the world as you know it at the moment is taking away people's freedoms, and a lot of people are going to literally become food for the gods if they don't change their vibration, their frequencies, and they're caught up in this spell, in these religions that are really there to, as we say, when you read the Bible, the offerings, and when we just touch about Nana sin, this is where sin started, because if you look at the offering with Cain and Abel, that's what happened, because that when Cain killed Abel, that was where they said that because his offering wasn't accepted, because he didn't, if you go back to it, he didn't offer meat. And these beings are blood and flesh eaters, and you know they eat human flesh, and they've been basically harvesting humans for food. And the master breaks this down for us in the book where he shows you that this is a farm. These extraterrestrials that are trying to take control of this world, they're basically farming, just like how farmers here farm animals for food. So those who are going to be caught up in the things that are going to be implemented in this new world order, control of everything about your life, you're literally going to be enslaved. So yeah, that's if we allow them to succeed, meaning that not everyone is going to, like, just like how the books of the Bible try to explain to you that you have those who are agreeable and those who are disagreeable, and each person that wants to survive has to raise their vibration, has to, basically don't get caught up being food and being in that world of the New World Order is controlled by Nana and his agents. Do you have anything else you want to add to that? Or are you okay? I mean, there's a lot more to go. Okay, let me carry on because
Can I quickly ask a question?
Sure, who's that? Zach, yeah.
It's yeah, and talking about the book you read in Revelation and the times that we're in,
Yeah,
and I've had experiences with, because you're talking about agreeable and disagreeable,
yeah,
and the message or download I get that in 2025 we're going to be encountered with different kinds of extraterrestrials that don't look extraterrestrial or interterrestrial. They're going to look humanoid like us, because like I said, I've had encounters with black, white, different kinds of extraterrestrials. So can you clarify, because we're going into that time where they're living amongst us and some of them are going to lead some of us astray, how, give us an example of what is, because obviously the extraterrestrials I've come in contact with have been agreeable, but how can people tell as we come into that time where some of them are going to lead us astray what is agreeable and disagreeable extraterrestrials?
right, because you've got different races on the planet and you have many species of extraterrestrials. And that's why we are aligning ourselves with our ancestors by way of Parnabab Yanun, who is our guide. He has been sent here to guide us and to tell us and to teach us where to be and where not to be and who to go to and who not to go to. So we can't really speak for everyone. And there are other extraterrestrials that know that there is a massive risk of this planet being destroyed. And they also come in to help or take their own, but everyone else has already been sent their warner, and some people didn't obviously accept or listen to those warners, and now it's our time in terms of the first being the last and the last being the first, and that's why he's here. And what I just read when I read in the introduction to show you that he has walked and been around pretty much everyone and everything that on the planet Earth, all the teachers, and he was sent in this day and time as the reformer and the one to bring about this new cycle of the sun cycle, the next 24,000 years, which is going to be ruled by those Sabaeans and those people who accept Wu-Sabat. And it's originally for us, but anyone else on any other race that accepts it is also welcome. So it's either you're going to raise your vibration and your consciousness to make it into the next 24,000 years, or you're not. With the fading of falseness and all these, they're obviously trying to survive and trying to control people and coming in with, the first person that he got in his cabinet was what? Elon Musk, who's putting all the robots together. And then you've got other people who are aligning with him, because the way that they're going to be able to do this is by way of these draconian laws and draconian measures and being able to watch everything and everything you do. They're introducing the CBDC, which is essential, and that's all explained in these Leviathan books about the cashless society that has been spoken about for many years. And that's programmed.
What was the alternative?
Sorry, what do you mean? What was the alternative?
Thank you for acknowledging.
Gav, go on. You just said what was the alternative? I don't know what you're referring to.
I saw the alternative of Kamala Harris and that was a robot. I wasn't even an AI robot. That was just
Okay.
a facade of something.
Okay. Sorry, I get your
And I'm
question.
not,
Sorry,
my
go on,
question
finish.
is,
Yeah.
it'll be really quick. Okay, if it's not Trump, what else is there?
Good question. So the alternative is that none of that has anything to do with us. What people don't realize is that what you're looking at is staged, it's all staged. Meaning, like, if you watched how Biden was behaving, it was all senile, he wasn't able to put a sentence together, he was falling down and all of that. But when you saw him when he was saying that they're going to concede and there's going to be a smooth transition of power, he was all alert and sharp and normal. So that we know by way of our master teacher, Panda Babyanun, the way he teaches us is that politics is really politricks, which is you got two wings on the same bird. So either one is not really there for you anyway. And we
So
get,
who do we trust?
sorry,
Who do we trust? How do we
we
get to a
trust
point of
we trust our ancestors and Panda Babyanun as our guide. That's who we trust. And we trust ourselves. But the problem is we don't trust ourselves. This is the problem. People don't trust each other. We don't love each other enough. We don't have, we're still afraid. Most people are afraid to even be who they really are. Most people don't want to come together and work together so that you can build for self and do for self, like how our greatest leaders and teachers have taught us. And this is where we're at now, where if we had listened to what Parnabab is teaching us, even now it's not too late. It's never too late to come together. Those who want a particular world come together and make that happen. So that's
Can I ask one question?
we trust everyone and everything else but ourselves.
What would you think is the biggest issue to people coming together? I've got something in my mind, but what do you think is the biggest issue of people coming together?
They're under a spell called the spell of Leviathan, which is what we're talking about today. They're under a
Lies,
spell. Hmm?
lies.
Exactly. That's what the spell is, because it's all about lies, and you have to say and recognize it's lies and give it all back. But most people are afraid. They're afraid of oh, my job, oh, my rent, oh, my this, to the point where we are mighty people. We have great ancestors that are here and are willing to help you once you start to give back the lies, live in truth, and recognize them as your, your saviors and your guide. And this is what Wu-Sabat is doing. And it's getting you, look, it says here in verse 57, in Wu-Sabat, we are not taught to fear a God or he will abuse you. You see, in Wu-Sabat, we are not ordered by a deity God to fight and kill others who don't accept our deity God, to take their lands, fight them wherever you find them, to kill them, boys, men, and save the girls, women, to take to be our own sex slaves. In Wu-Sabat, we are not promised, once you obey me as your choice of God, deity, follow my laws, and once you die, I will give you pearl white skin and pearl white eyed female for sexual pleasures, or wine and green robes with gold decorations, or things you have right here now, rivers, streams, gardens. In Wu-Sabat, we do not kill and offer living creatures to our deity as offerings, sacrifices, obligations on altars, sprinkling blood, cutting up flesh, and burn in fires. What kind of a God requests or demands or asks for such actions? Yeah, who claims he loves the smell of sweet savor of burning flesh, animals, or of any kind? What is your deity really? Why does he need you to do such cruel things to animals which he created? Or he will eat the flesh of animals which he created. Is this not all taught in your Torah, Gospel, and Quran? Is this not the same deity of Ranan at names or other attributes or titles who you claim created the first human being from clay, mud, dust, then his wife from one of his rib bones by cutting open the man Adam and operating on the rib bone to make a woman. This is all, when you start going through all of this, you start to see that this God is these evil entities that we're talking about, who are now having people so afraid of going to hell, so afraid of these beings that they don't want to be themselves. So yeah, to answer that question, it's really, you got to trust yourself and trust each other and come together. Go ahead, brother.
Quick question. With the mark of the beast, is that tattooing as well? Tattoos?
Yeah, the mark of the beast, it comes in many, many forms. It comes as a job, it comes as a student loan, it comes as you looking like the beast. Like you say, yeah, tattoos is a mark, but the thing is, many of these things, some people do ignorantly because they don't know any better, because the ink that they use in tattooing your body is harmful for you, and it goes through your pores, because humans are porous. When you look under a microscope, you see you have holes, so that it will eventually seep into your bloodstream and can be damaging to you. No wonder you see a lot of children that they promote it. All of a sudden, you can go back years where people weren't wearing tattoos, and then all of a sudden everyone's wearing tattoos from head to toe, and it's become like a fashion where everyone's doing it. Yeah, because they come with things and make it look fashionable, but there's normally an ulterior motive behind it. And this is why right knowledge is here, so you can you can actually know. It's like you have to remember your brain or your mind is like the central processing unit. If that's not functioning properly, the rest of you is not going to function properly, because you're not thinking right. You're not thinking right. So yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sorry, who's that?
Yvonne.
Oh, right, on Clubhouse. Right.
Yes,
Go ahead, Yvonne.
That. What happens to your ancestors that, like, I know for a fact that my ancestors were heavy into religion.
Mm-hmm.
Are they stagnant when they transition, or how would I be able to help them because they don't know anything about Wu-Sabat or never did?
Right. So people cannot be judged based on what they didn't know. So if they didn't know about Wu-Sabat, then they judge based on, and we're using that word loosely, based on what they did. Because if they were good people, as in they were kind, they were generous, they were caring, they lived, the best, and they weren't evil, wicked people, then they're still going to be okay. However, if they are trapped, you have the opportunity to free them. And that's why by you learning Wu-Sabat, if they are trapped on the other side, you can actually help free them because you are connected to them. What we have to constantly emphasize is that you're dealing with energy. Yeah, energy is connected by way of its vibration. So if you're vibrating on the same resonant frequency as any other thing, object, or being, you're connected. And therefore, you are still connected to your ancestors, and they can help you and you can help them by way of what you do, by way of your chants, by way of the things in Wu-Sabat that you practice. So this is why Wu-Sabat is not a selfish thing. It's not just about me, myself, and I, or you. It's also because some of your ancestors are actually in need of your help, and they will influence you in this life to get yourself to a position where you can help them. So they will give you signs and guidance and so forth as well. So yeah, that's how it works in that situation.
Yes.
So I was just saying, Jose, you were asking a question?
Yes, I was asking a follow-up question on your answer.
Go ahead.
Which is what are those traps on which our ancestors can be trapped on? For clarity on.
Okay. So remember, we talk about the different realms. For simplicity, we say from 1 to 9. When the highest is 9, which vibrates at a faster vibration, and the lowest is where we are here, which is 1, known as the material plane or the physical realm. So they could be trapped on any of the other planes, because once you transcend this plane, once you master this plane and you move on, you then go to the other realms, and they could be on any of those realms and trapped by way of disagreeable beings that are utilizing them to feed off of their energy and to influence beings on the lower realms negatively. So that's the realms we're talking about. So it depends on which ancestor and where they're at. And yeah, that's the realms we're talking about. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and what is the scroll on which I can dive into this topic?
Okay, I mean, most of the scrolls talk about it, but on our online course and the book, we cover the realms and the different I'll see if I've got it on. Yeah, so you can get that, and any of the scrolls you read, like the physical you after the spiritual you after the physical you dies, soul, spirit. We have soul, spirit, 30 spirits, sex force, spirit force. These are all partarats that you can read that will go into more detail about that. In fact, let me see if I can find. There's one partarat called 30 spirits in particular. Right, let me read a bit from this for you because it will answer your question. I'll read it from the beginning. 1, it says, "My beloved Nuwapians, females and males, young and aged, I have incarnated before you amongst you to renew our story after 24,000 years and 6,000 years of the spell of sleep of ignorance. It has become your time again to return to your true and holy nature as Natharu, to break the spell and be born again. You, the mothers and fathers, the root Salau race of all others, Nagaru, Negroids, the civilizers of all others, and in fact the gods of earth, must be raised from the Tamwat death, mental death, as a mummy is raised to everlasting life. You must remember what and who you are to all others." And this is where we'll go into your question. You must bind the 30 spirits that seek to control you, the very voices of your own ancestors who lived in the image of the beast and at death have been trapped in his hell. You must bind them and free them from the realm of hell, that you will be free of their whispers into your heart and mind, which affects your very actions each day of your life. You see, so the voices whose whisper to your inner and mind as to what is best to do, what is right to do, and what is good to do. And you have voices whose whispers to your inner emotions and desires what is not best for you and others, what is not right to do, and what is not good for you. The whispers that are agreeable and the whispers that are disagreeable. Your choice, your will is influenced by their very voices of and in your DNA. You see, what you became after birth, what you accepted as you grew, what you believe you want as opposed to what you need. Your inner voices who whisper to you only wish to fulfill their lifelong desires with your flesh and body, to lust their lust, to pleasure as they wish to be pleased by any and all. They seek to use your frame for their own use, even unto your death. And each of the 30 spirits in your DNA is linked to their own 30 spirits DNA and all the spirits they have encountered during their own lives. You see, so that's what he's saying, that the voices that you're hearing in your head, you know, you got a radio in your head, you're constantly hearing voices. These are of your ancestors. Some are disagreeable and some are agreeable. So what you do is you're freeing yourself by eliminating and suppressing those voices that are causing you to do disagreeable in this physical world, because you're feeding them that energy. Because they don't have a body anymore to experience the things of this realm, they need you to do it so they can get that energy, that sensation. And then you have the ones that are telling you the opposite of that, which, as I said before, this goes back into the green light and the amber light within you. And so what you have to do is, when you free your thoughts from those voices that are causing you to do disagreeable thoughts, you're automatically aligning yourself with the agreeable, and then you're not trapped by way of them. Do you have a question?
Sorry, I got one after this, yeah, but these voices, like someone just said, don't listen to it. No, don't ask the question. I can't be going crazy. I'm not going crazy.
No.
It's just my imagination because it's in my voice. It's starting to bother me because it's my voice. It's no one else's voice. It's my voice. I just heard someone say he's lying. No, don't ask him. He said lying. Who is that? I know you can't tell me who it is, but surely that's me. Just
you see, even in the way you're articulating it, it's sounding chaotic because you said you heard someone, then you said it's my voice, then you said who is it? Do you follow? So that's already telling you that it's not your voice, and the reality is the agreeable will tell you to come to class. The disagreeable will try and throw you off and say, don't listen, this is not correct, this is not this, don't come back. And then you battle between the two. And the one that wins is the one that will sustain. So if you keep hearing voices telling you something, there will be other voices that will tell you something positive. So this is what we're saying, like, we always use the examples that are easy to understand. Like, if you're doing something that you know is bad for you, right? And you keep doing it and you can't stop doing it, but you know it's bad for you. So then when you conquer that, you stop doing it. So when you're saying whose voice is it, you have to figure it out, because over time, like, for example, if you were able to label that voice that you just heard, right? Give it a name, like a color or something that you can identify that voice with. So every time you hear that voice, so for example, if you call that being red or something, every time you hear that voice, you're like, oh, that's red. I'm not going to listen to red. And then another one will be green, or do you know what I mean? And then eventually you will learn. And then what you have to start doing is looking at your family lineage, or looking at your ancestors, looking at the people that, and remember, all the voices you hear in your head are not all just your ancestors. You've got your ancestors' voice, but you've also got outside influences that are not part of your ancestors. Yeah, so because thoughts they're actually physical. They have a weight, they have a color, they have a frequency, they have a vibration. So you could be walking down the street and picking up other people's thoughts, because you can tune in like a radio. You can tune into a station and pick up, broadcasting, or you can tune out. So sometimes it may just be other disagreeable beings that are trying to influence you or tell you, whisper, like the master said, they're whispering in your head. So you have to identify who it is, and over time you'll be able to know.
But if they all sound like me, am I supposed to identify by what it is they usually say?
You're saying they all sound like you.
They all sound like me. Every single one of them. My voice.
Yeah, but even though they may sound like you, the actions will tell. The things they're telling you to do. It's for example, if you're walking down, passing, say, a cake shop every day, and you hear a voice saying, go on, get that chocolate cake. You can succumb to it, or you can keep walking. And if they keep saying it every time you pass that shop, one day you might just go, come on, let's just get this cake. And then you get it, right? And you've now given that being, because remember, when you look at that, let me see if I can find that diagram. There's a diagram that the 30 spirits that we talk about. Let me see if I can find it. That diagram shows you that you may be at the top, right? But all these other beings that make up your matrix of your 30 or less personalities, they're fighting to be the one in the driver's seat. And the ones that are telling you to do disagreeable things and you succumb to, they move up. And the ones that are telling you, it depends. Either one can move up to be the one in the driver's seat. Remember, we just explained that your physical body has something called a ka, or ka'a, right? That's the word in ancient Egypt for spirit.
The one who's driving the car.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously then you have your soul. So whoever's in the driver's seat is the one in control. And the beings can move up or down at any point. So you have to, after you suppress the ones you don't want to be influencing you, you then stay in control. But it's how much of in control, how much time are you the one always in control? And this is what Wu-Sabat does by teaching you the right things and information to do, so that you're constantly aware of what actions you're taking. And the actions is what really matters at the end of the day, because you can get voices, you can get whispers, you can, but do you react to them or do you ignore them?
I find them, and most of the time I mean it's quite recently.
Yeah, well, then you have to change your environment, change the things you're doing, maybe do some more spiritual practices, fasting, so many things you can do to counteract. When you say, I mean, obviously your personal situation is your personal situation. Everyone has work to do within them to be aligned with the right ones. And sometimes, see, we don't say good and bad because, hey, this one I'm trying to find. We don't say good and bad because good and bad is subjective, because you have a disagreeable side. We're not saying that you can eradicate that side completely, because you may need it at certain times or situations, right? However, we're saying that you're suppressing it so that you're overriding it, and the positive side of you will make sure that you don't come, you know, once you're vibrating on that frequency, then it's harder for you to go back down if you're staying at that vibration. Just like our ancestors, the Natharu, remember I said you have the 9 realms. They're on the 9th, which is the highest, where they are pure energy being, pure Ethereans. They don't want to come back down here, because to come down here is like lowering their vibration from that pure energy being to coming down to a mortal physical being, where we have needs and desires and all those types of things. So the way they have arranged it is that they come to the mental realm, which is where your mind operates, or you tap into the mental reservoir. That's how they can reach to the mental reservoir to give you the right thoughts. But you also have all these other thoughts that you have to fight to get to the right thought. And if you listen to them, they raise you up. And if you don't, you go down. But they're not coming any further down unless, as Ethereans, some of them have the ability to come and go at will. I mean, come down in vibration and go back, you know, like, or incarnate here, like Harpana Babylon has done. But they can go back. Whereas we are trying to go up. But we're faced with a dilemma where beings are pulling you down, even beyond 1, to where you're going down to 0, -1, -2, -3, where there are demonic demons and ghouls and, you know, foul spirits, where these beings are tapping into that, like the Satanists and the people that deal with, you know, calling on those entities. They're the ones that will try to pull you down constantly with all sorts of music, foods, fashions, technology, name it. They use every trick in the book because they want to feed off of that energy.
So that's the first I've heard of that. There's a negative ether that goes past or below 0.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you say negative ether, let me show you. I'm trying to find the diagram. When we say there's positive and negative in everything, right? In terms of the polarity down here. So even though we're here, that's why we have the 2 natures of 180 disagreeable and 180 agreeable, which gives us a 360 of the physical world. So when you say that's the first you've heard of it, there's positive, what people consider positive and negative in everything here. That's why once you leave here, you kind of leave this physical 3-dimensional world behind, where you're not being pulled in the 2 different directions. Does that make sense? I'm trying to find that diagram to show you the different ethers. But in the meantime, anyone else before I carry on?
Yeah, could I? Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, a lot of people who talk about like Malachi York's teaching, that I listen to from America and stuff mainly, talk about shadow work. And I just wondered what like your perspective was on shadow work. In my own experience, I used to be like a Christian. I had a born again experience and stuff. That was like an introduction to kind of some level of spirituality until years later things went wrong. And then I remember I went to bed at night and I said I was confused about a lot of things. I said to what I regarded as spirit, you know, you're going to have to make some sense and head and tail of all this for me because nothing's making sense. And I woke up that morning and spirit said very clearly in my being, everybody creates God in their own image. And from that moment, I was kind of set free from having to follow religion, basically, because I realized it was just made up in our head in that regard. But in my own experience in trying to like overcome, say, sin or different behaviors that were a problem to me, I found that like doing my shadow work, particularly for me through like men's work, learn about King Warrior Magician Lover, like learn about the wounds in those parts of myself, really helped me to overcome my habits and stuff that was fucking me up. Sorry to use the language. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that type of perspective from Wu-Sabat. If there's any perspective on shadow work and that type of way of kind of developing yourself as a personality, whether that ties in to things that relate to ancestors and other parts of ourselves and our personality and how they express themselves. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Wu-Sabat, again, that's what I'm saying. We've got to learn to ask succinct and direct questions. That term shadow work is not one from Wu-Sabat or the master teacher. So there are many people that are using that term in the so-called conscious community, because what it is they look at like this whole thing about light is good and dark is bad. And the word shadow is like to say that, like they do with everything to trying to make black bad. So it's like the devil or doomsday or, Dracula wears a black cloak and comes out at night and people say you need to be enlightened as opposed to being darkened. All the movie stars, the heroes are always in white, all the bad people are in black. I'm just saying that to say that these terms like shadow work is trying to tie into that aspect of your nature where we're saying it's disagreeable and that you've got to work on your traumas and things that, that push you and pull you in that direction. But yeah, it's really in simplicity, we deal with Wu-Sabat is literally trying to overcome and suppress the disagreeable side of you. And when you say spirit, and this is another term you hear a lot of people say, spirit said to me, and that comes again from, the kind of religious mindset, because what spirit are we talking about? What we're saying is one of your ancestors that is speaking to you. And most of the time it's your ancestors speaking through you. And if it's not your ancestors and it's an external entity that is trying to fool you, then yeah, of course they're gonna tell you the wrong things to do. And the master asked us to watch a movie called The Presence. If you've never seen that movie, that's a good movie that will explain what we're talking about. But I've just found that the ethers that I was talking about for the brother that asked the question before you. So if you look at this diagram, I don't know if you can see it clearly, you may, but I'll read it. So on the ether side, you have 1 to 9 ether. As I was saying, the higher the ether, as in the 9, will be the faster the vibration. And then as you come down, this is scientifically, this is like if you were looking at the physical world or the seen world coming to the more dense side, you would have like hydrogen, which they used to consider to be the first element, coming this way, and then you'd have the ethers going the other way. So you'll have like E1 to E9 going into the etheric side, and then you'll have like hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, and all the, you know, the elements going that way. And the beings that are vibrating on the lower frequencies, you know, will be like at the top, you have the supreme beings coming down to beings, to human beings, to humans, to man or mammal, to mankind, mammal, beast, demons. And then when you keep going, you know, you have ghosts, ghouls, orbs, shadows. This is where this shadow work also ties into apparitions. And these are entities that really are vibrating lower. So you have the two that most people really are familiar with, which is sixth ether. These are beings that have lost their souls and can only access the sixth abode, because the reason for that is because they mix with animals, and animals only have spirits, whereas beings that have a soul vibrate higher than, you know, 6 to 7 and 8 when you're dealing with like the Dravidians. And then for us as Nagaru, it's 9 ether. And that's why we have to try and raise our vibration back. So those 9 ether supreme beings, they arrived here from Sirius, Orion, to the Indian Ocean as sirens living underwater for millions of years. Then they were casted, you know, in the swamps of South Africa, known as the Egg Island, and then onto land. And then life waves from immortal beings, they came here and they deal with, you know, 9 life waves for each level. So really the self is on like that. I was talking about the mental, the fourth abode, which deals with, you know, physical bodies, and then you have to use the mind to connect to the higher realms. And most beings have incarnated here like 9,000 times before. But when you start to understand the different ethers, you recognize that when you're vibrating and thinking on 9 ether, this is why we stress 9 mind, 9 ether, 9, you know, like just think about staying on that vibration so you can receive messages from. Wow, is that the time already? Sorry. Yeah, so we really, I'm just still trying to find, there's another diagram where it's illustrated even more clearly. It looks like, I'm not going to get through much of this scroll today, but I think we'll just carry on with taking questions. But if you haven't got this revelation to the Sabaeans yet, what I will do today is encourage people to really try and get hold of it and read it in its entirety. I might just skip and cover some of the most pertinent parts.
A second.
Sure.
Yes, there is a question that came up here, a follow-up question on a previous one regarding how to distinguish the agreeable and disagreeable.
Yeah.
There's a question from Kea. Kea, is that the question, right?
What's the question? Is it on Telegram or Zoom?
On Zoom. Kea is on Zoom. Kea, can you ask your question? It was related with how the ability to distinguish the agreeable and disagreeable.
What's the question?
How to distinguish the agreeable and disagreeable ancestors.
How to distinguish the disagreeable and agreeable ancestors. You
Yes.
know by so I'm getting a message here about recording.
I hope that's the question though.
Yeah, I mean, you distinguish them based on the actions that you take. Sorry. Yeah, based on your actions. The actions is what will literally tell you if something is agreeable or disagreeable, because you hear those inner voices that tell you when you're doing something that you know you shouldn't be doing, or that it's not the best thing for the best outcome. You see, so I gave a few examples, like, for example, you should have a particular diet, you should respect people, and there's many things you just know that you should do. And if you're doing things that are getting you in trouble all the time, or like bring discomfort or negativity to you, then that's not the right thing for you to do. And by way of Wu-Sabat teaches you that's what Patarak means. It means the way to do things and the way not to do things. So if you're not doing things according to Patarak and the way, then that's disagreeable. I don't know how easy or simple I can put it, but that's how you know that the things that are disagreeable or on lower vibration are things that, like I've got on the screen, your ego, pride, jealousy, anger, greed, lies, lust, gluttony, belief. Those are all disagreeable, lower vibration things. So if you're going to have something to judge by, you check yourself and see if you are, doing those things. I don't know if that answers the question. If not, probe further. Like, like, okay, you're supposed to get up, eat well, go exercise, study study the doctrine, do your chants. Okay, this is what I've been trying to find. Right. So if you're not doing those things, you're not doing the things that are going to bring about positive results, then and normally it's by way of your voices and these beings tapping into like your laziness, for example. A lot of us are very lazy. And that's something that you should try to eradicate. Right, this diagram, if I can make it bigger, it shows you the different ethers that we were talking about, brother. I think you were asking a question. Can you see? Yeah. So if we start from one ether, you're dealing with colorless, right? Which deals with, asexual ether, amber seed, asexual, then yellow, that's 1, 2, 3 is ether, yellow seed. They deal with both genders. 4 ether, mixed seed, both genders. 5 ethers, white and red seed, male genders only. Then the 6 ether deals with the female, the red and white seed, female genders. 7th ether is brown seed, both genders. And then you go on to 8th ether, which is also brown seed, both genders. And then 9th ether is the black seed, both genders. And I already touched on the ones that go beyond that. Right, is there any other questions before I carry on?
Zamal, there wasn't a question in the group. It's more like a statement, but he want your thoughts on it's something you touched on. It's about tattoos. It says you explained that tattoos are poisonous. What are your thoughts in regards to Aborigines, New Zealanders who are thought of spiritual as they wear tattoos and tend to live more natural lives than many others?
Because people, it doesn't change the facts about the tattoos that they use today or the inks that they use today to do tattoos. The thing is that even in ancient times, people would use like henna and natural methods to mark their body, and people have then, like I said, there's always an agreeable thing that gets turned disagreeable by other beings who, for example, they come up with their own methods. And it's like the foods we eat today. A lot of the foods we eat today are not natural or organic, naturally grown. So you can look at a banana and think, oh, you're eating a banana, but it's GMO. So in the same way, people will look at people that use natural ways to mark their body and say, okay, we're going to use ink instead, and use the lasers to cut and paste that ink into your body. But it doesn't change the fact of what it is. But when we say these things, it's not to be judgmental, because if you already have it, you have it. And you then have to look at ways of how do I remove metals from my body? And there's many ways you can do that. Some people try to take them off and rub them off as well when they realize. But these days, you got people that cover their whole body from head to toe. And the master said that really came by way of Europeans who wanted to be black. So they cover their body in black ink. And then now the black people put the black on their brown or black skin. And sometimes you can't even see the tattoo because it's not as obvious as if you had light skin and then you had the tattoos. But at the end of the day, it's like anything else, whether it's food or whatever we're doing now, we're affected to the point where you literally doing your best based on what's available. But like we say, there are always solutions. So you're not doomed forever if you've done something because our ancestors, the Natharu, they're able to heal and transform and change you. So, like, for example, people will say, my tonsils have been removed and I need my tonsils to vibrate on a certain frequency, or my, what do they call the other one? The appendix, because you need these things when you're doing certain rituals and spiritual practices. But most Western practitioners, they will remove it because they're like, this has no use. But they don't know that it has a use in our higher sciences. Because like to learn to do things like levitation and certain things, you would need those, like your appendix and your tonsils. But the minute they say it's ruptured or there's something wrong with it, they just remove it. Because they say there's no need for it, because they don't really know the higher sciences of nine ether when we start to look at, certain things. But the reason I'm mentioning that is because the Natharu, our ancestors, they can still replace it. They can still replace it, and they can replace whatever you've got missing if you're chosen or one of those children. So there's always some type of salvation, and that's why in this scroll, I really want us to get through this between now and the next class. In fact, look at that. What I'm going to do, because of time, I really want to get more questions in. I'm going to just skip through and give you some jewels from it because I've highlighted a lot of things. It says on 310. Right, let me go back. I'm going to just skip and give you some of the jewels because, all right, here we go. Let me read from verse 93. It says, Jews do not have the original Torah or Old Testament, and Christians do not have one original Gospel, New Testament. 95, Muslims do not have one original Quran, Last Testament. They each and all live by hearsay, which none of them can confirm by having the original revelations. 97, so each claim the other is wrong and only they are right, when in fact all three are wrong, for their books came from the Sumerian stone tablets that have been uncovered, yet they all choose to ignore what they say. What kind of foolishness is that? The translations of the cuneiform stone tablets have shown they are from where the children of Abraham's religions, Mosism, Jesusism, Mohammedism came from. The same stories, only with so much more they don't want to know. I'm going to skip and go to, I'll probably do about 5 minutes and then we'll just go on with the questions. No, I'll skip that one. That's a bit too heavy. All right, let me keep skipping. I'm going to go to verse 168. Actually, this one is a bit harsh as well, but I was just going to say. So 168, most were and are married at age 13, when according to their beliefs is when they become adults. Mary, mother of Jesus, was only 12 years old and birthed Jesus at 13. Muhammad took Aisha as a wife when she was only 9 years old and had sex with her at age 11. And her father, Abu Bakr, approved of this relationship. Let me keep going. I'm trying to say, I was born in 1945. This is 172. I was born in 1945, and the end of 400 years was the year 1955, when at age 9, I had my first visitation to prepare me for their end while I was in Pinnock, New Jersey. While returning home, I was met by Sa'at Alomar. Sorry, people on TikTok. Sa'at Alomar and Krill from Zeta Reticuli of Orion's belt. They were only 3 feet 6 inches tall. My abductors I clearly remember, and who told me over the years my fate and so much more. Arima was shot and died a while before by a Caucasoid family in Kentucky where they landed. She has since been brought back to life. I'm just skipping to give you some jewels that might invoke some question. Muadamu were made by extraterrestrials called Parkamau, the Pleiadians. Let this revelation inform you that Pataites were grown by extraterrestrials called Parnatharu, the overseers, as children of the overseers, not the same extraterrestrials. 93. Let this revelation inform you that behind and above Parkamau were Partanantu, the Draconians, all right? Let this revelation inform you behind and above Parnatharu, the overseers, were Sawab. Sorry, what? No, hold on. Sorry, that I skipped. So go back to 94. Let this revelation inform you behind and above Parnatharu, the overseers, were Parazaku, or the Riskians. Yeah, not the same extraterrestrials. So you Negroids were grown on Earth millions of years ago. The Caucasoids were made here on Earth 6,000 years ago. You are not the same and not from the same root seed or DNA. You were grown, they were grafted and made. All right, and it goes on to 202. It says, the Negroid race is divided into 9 species of features of Negroids Africans. 203. Kakasnadu Caucasoid is divided into 6 species of features of Caucasoid. And then you have the Mongoloid race is divided into 3 species of features of Mongoloids Orientals. You are not the same and do not have the same origin of birth date records. Let this revelation inform you and guide you to your own, the right way, pathway to your ancestors or Muslafu ancestors who from each of you and your bloodline link back to the very beginning of time. You are the Karadu children of extraterrestrials who were and are benevolent, good. All right, so I'm going to skip to 2:10. In this revelation, you are not to use drugs. You're not to become drunken. You're not to eat unclean or unhealthy foods. You're not to commit sexual abominations, prostitute, bestiality. You're not to use vulgarity or act vulgar or act obscene. Yeah. In this revelation, you are to always be clean and neat. Take care of your hair, teeth, your eyes, your inner organs, and your human flesh. You are never to have any body odor, unpleasant scents, bad aroma or smell, be it your mouth or from your perspirations, and no dirt underneath your nails or both hands and feet. So when you go through this revelation, 2:14, in this revelation, you are not to have canines in your homes as pets, only as protection of land, farm, or flocks, never inside your dwelling, never to allow them to lick you, your body, your mouth, or eat with you. In this revelation, 2:17, you can have felines as pets in your home. Jump to 2:21. You can have fish tanks. You have free will. Make the choice and consider the creature's nature when you take them as your pet. In this hour revelation, you are told to learn music and to play an instrument, learn to dance and to sing. In this hour revelation 2023, You female Musbatu Sabaeans must learn how to cook, sew, and weave, the arts of Tamrut, womanhood. In this our revelation, you male Musbatu must learn to repair, build, defend the arts of manhood. In this our revelation, you are told to keep your home very clean as all your properties. In this our revelation, you are told to always stay in contact with your grandmothers and grandfather on both sides to be sure they are well health-wise and taken care of, as well as your mother and your father, as well as your children. Well educated, remembering all born days, and visit when and if you're able to. I'm going to stop with this last one, and then we can just take questions. In this our revelation, you are told to attend the temple, chant, sing, study, teach, be an active part of the tribe. Sorry. That's my alarm for chanting, and I was just reading that part. Where was I? Yeah, in this hour of revelation, you are told to attend the temple, chant, sing, study, teach, be an active part of the tribe and the nation, participate in all activities, and be willing to help with all projects. Right. So I'm going to stop there. We'll carry on with the next class I do and finish off this revelations. But it's a very, very serious scroll, because part of Babylon. Sorry, who's that?
Scores, DJ Scores.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically the question I wanted to bring to you or get some clarity on was, you know, when you've got a percent of your family which is following the Muslim law and a percent which is following the Christian law, and they tend to, you know, say they cast out demons with the blood of Jesus on their skin and so forth, and you try to explain to them, you know, the year it came into existence, when the letter J come, how the Romans kind of enforce the pagan festivals in the actual book, you know, so when they actually think they're celebrating him on this particular day, it's not. And you explain, and as well as give the evidence for, you know, like Easter and Ishtar and what she represents. How do you do with people on that journey? Because for me, I've been very compelled to know WAPIC and the understanding, the following, the teachings. There's a lot I've understand. I've even tried to explain to others about, you know, the voices. There's a lot of subjects you touched on today, which I've got some knowledge of, and you gave a lot of clarity. So it's like I'm dealing with people on that journey, and it's not that I'm trying to take them away from their religion or beliefs. I'm just trying to throw some truthful factors in terms of what they are studying is of a negative force. I don't even really want to say that, because that sounds like I'm targeting religions.
No,
and I'm not. I'm just trying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and that's the sad part of it, because we really would like, as compassionate beings, we really like to save everyone and show them the truth and the right way. And because once you know, it's like you feel it to help others. And that's what we're encouraged to do by way of Wu-Sabat. But you have to remember that everyone is on a different level. And the best you can do, as the master teacher teaches us, is to do you, in the sense of you have to be the best example that they look to and see. It's not about badgering them or trying to obviously you're going to try and talk to people, but if they don't listen or don't resonate with it, you kind of have to just keep it moving to those who do. And the reality is, as you said, is that we know that those religions and those books are not for us. And those of us who have come out of them, people say to us all the time, why do you always quote the Bible and the Quran and use these books that you're saying they're not for us? We have to say, yeah, because we have family and people that are stuck in them. And we have to find ways to reach them. And that's why we have so many scrolls that cover every topic. But the reality is that you're not going to be able to reach everyone. So you just have to work on yourself. And by way of your example, they may look at you and say, look at the benefits, look at the change, look how you're carrying yourself. And that will be maybe more of an encouraging factor. In addition, sometimes you're not the person that's going to reach them. It has to come from someone else. There are people that, you know, you may talk to about Wu-Sabat and they're not resonating or not listening to you, because what it is, the master says that they remember you when you were maybe behaving and doing certain things. So they look at you like, you can't tell me anything, even though now you're coming, it's like you're all righteous and you know, but they remember you for who they know you as. So sometimes it's going to take somebody else that they're not familiar with to tell them, because I've had that in my situation where I'm telling people and they're not listening to me, and then somebody else comes and tells them the exact same thing and they listen to them. And I'm sure we've all had this. So sometimes it's not you that is going to reach them. They may have to get it from someone else, watch a video or listen to someone else, or be in a situation where the people they look to, like their friends, their peers, they will tell them the same thing you're trying to tell them, and it may click and make sense there. But yeah, you have to just be the best example by way of Wu-Sabat, by way of your actions, not lip service, because that's what Partner Babylon says. If you uphold, you know, these truths of Wu-Sabat and proclaim it, then do it by way of your actions, you know. So yeah, that's all you can do. But get yourself right. Study as much as you can, learn as much as you can, and then you will be utilized by your ancestors and higher beings to reach people. You know, you just become a vessel that they're communicating through you to, and that's how you do it. Like, I mean, I get many people that have watched our videos and stuff all over the world, and they're touched by Wu-Sabat. But I know that's coming by way of the master teacher, Partner Babylon, working through us. But yet, there are people in my family that would not resonate with me saying the same thing. But yet, someone in Australia and Canada, in Africa, is able to connect with it, you see. So it's the energy by way of, like, yeah, that you're sharing, by, you know, just focus on that. I hope that's answered that question for you.
Yep, pretty much. There was more, but I'm going to allow somebody else to go ahead and ask before I come back.
I'm not sure if the mods are bringing people up on stage on Clubhouse, but if there's anyone, let me just invite some people on Clubhouse, just in case they have had questions and haven't had a chance to.
No problem. I'll keep muted for a second and wait.
Who was that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to read a question on Zoom. After gaining knowledge, should we use all available platforms to share knowledge?
Oh, 100%. Wu-Sabat this is what I'm saying about people being afraid. We're living in a day and time where you really have nothing to fear, and no one should stop you from spreading truth and spreading Wu-Sabat, because the master teacher, Partner Babylon, you know, I know sometimes people don't express it, but we have been moaning and lost for over 20 years of his kidnapping. And every day he's suffering because he has put his life on the line for Wu-Sabat, because he knows that this is the job that he has to do to bring about this new 24,000-year cycle. And we are supposed to go and teach it regardless and have no fear, you know. But yeah, every platform. That's why when you see our classes, I'm on TikTok right now, we're on Telegram, and I'm on Zoom, and we're on Clubhouse, and we try to reach as many people as we can. And you can see the power of Wu-Sabat, because this is the future. We keep saying it, and it's reaching people worldwide. So yes, teach it, share it. Like he says, let my words be known. But it's gonna be very interesting in the next few months going into the next year, because you're all gonna witness many things. You're gonna witness, like he said, they will reveal. You will see extraterrestrials. You will see the power of Wu-Sabat spreading worldwide, you will see these things. We will see the return of the master teacher, Partner Babylon. And have no doubt about that. Have no fear and, you know, just work together, come together. That's all he's asked of us, love and unity. You know, and people mean well, they want to, you know, but they need guidance. Some people just need certain things to happen for them to now be fully engaged, and it's going to happen. The elders need to work with, you know, the younger people, and the younger people need to work with the elders. We need to provide so much. There's so much work to be done. We need teachers all over, everywhere. Shops, stores, temples, health centers, name it, we need it. Whatever skill you have, you can bring it into Wu-Sabat and build. It's going to happen. You just got to decide, are you ready? Are you a part of that future? Are you ready to be who you're really supposed to be? Not lip service, God, not, it just sounds heavy. It's not entertainment. This is not, we like go to church or go to the mosque and then you carry on with your normal life. No, this is work. We've got things to do. You know, if you're of Wu-Sabat of truth, then let's get to work. Some don't like to work, but we got work to do, and it will get done. Go ahead, brother.
Can we photograph the electromagnetic system? You said earlier.
Yes, you can.
It's green, and it will right path towards our auras, as it were, be greenish.
Yeah, you can use something called curling photography. Curling photography is the way you can take pictures and see the aura. And so that's a great point, because you can go and take your picture of yourself, like a before and after picture, and then work on yourself and take another picture to see your aura. But yeah, you can use something called curling photography to take pictures of yourself, and it will take the magnetic field around you, which is called your aura. Go ahead.
Sorry, you spoke earlier about the tonsils and the appendix.
Sure.
Can you elaborate a bit more on that? I know you were speaking about to reach certain vibrations with the tonsils, but what about the appendix? Can you know a bit more about that?
Sure. So a lot of higher mysteries or teachings that we were taught, this is why even with Wu-Sabat, there are different orders. Not everything is taught publicly. And this is why we encourage people to come on the inside, because the master teacher set up many mysteries. In ancient Egypt, they were known as mystery schools. This is why everybody from around the world went to Egypt to be taught. And they were being initiated and taught sciences like levitation, like transmutation, you know, alchemy, the ability to transform base metals and so forth. That's why Jesus, according to their story, went to Egypt and he was taught this science. That's why in their Bible, they're saying he was multiplying bread and walking on water and able to multiply fish and all of that. These are sciences that ancient Egypt knew and they taught. That's why the story they tell you about Moses and the throwing down the staff and turning it into a snake, these were Egyptian sciences, because when he did it, the pharaohs did it as well. So they were like, that's nothing, man. We know this. Even though they lie and tell you that Moses' snake swallowed up the Egyptian snake to kind of make the Egyptians look like pagans, as they say. But coming back to your question, these sciences such as levitation and certain things that we're able to do, tying into the way you're able to channel your, what people call chakras now, right? The 7 seats or the glands within you, which they actually superimpose, like I said, on the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, the pineal gland, the spleen. These are actual glands where these vortexes or these energy centers are. And if you read the scroll by the master teacher, Partner Babylon, called the Man from Planet Risk, or the Science of Healing, he goes into how when you start to chant and do certain things, what you're doing is bringing those energy centers together, and you can turn yourself inside out. And once you understand and know how these centers work, you know, like when I said the appendix and the the thyroid, that's dealing with, like your tonsils. So these are energy centers that by knowing the right chants and vibrations, you can not only turn yourself inside out into a pure energy being as a craft and take off, right? So you can do other things, like we say, like the levitations and all the things that you see magicians doing today. You know, people like David Blaine and all these guys. Some of them are extraterrestrials and they're able to do these things in human form, or wearing their human suit. And everybody goes, wow, he can levitate. And some of them are just illusionists where they can bend reality. So what you're seeing, because remember, this is an illusion. So if you have the ability, you can make someone see something that's not there. Because most of the images you have in your subconscious or in your mind are there, they're stored. And it's a matter of manipulation. But yeah, these are things like, as I said, alchemy, that's why it was called Kemet, because Kemet or alchem, chemicals, chemistry comes from that word. Yeah, so yeah, this is what these seats are for. But because they don't know, it's like what people call your third eye, right? That ties into what? Your pineal gland. So if somebody didn't know what it was, they just removed your gland, they'll be like, oh, this is no use. But yeah, every part of your being is for something or useful for something. And your health and all these things tie into that, because, you know, if you damage your organs, then they may not be useful for what you need them. And that's why even the tones are important, because when you see us reading Wu-Sabat, the language, you hear that when we say Haradi, right? You hear the vibration. But when I go Haradi, different, because you're using the ha, ha, ha. You know, you use certain parts of your tones that will have an effect on the environment. Yeah, that's why the tones are so powerful. Right, I see someone that's got a question in the chat. Green light source, the energy source, how become existence to the creating. Okay, yeah, this is something else I separated for. This is another thing. Like, we have to remember, in the physical body, in this realm, in the material plane, you're dumbed down. So sometimes we try to understand things of the higher realms. So people keep asking questions like, for example, when you say energy, they will say, well, who created the original energy? Where does energy come from? Even when you say it comes from ether, because everything is within ether, people will say, well, who created the ether? We say, well, our ancestors that vibrate on that 9 realm, who are known as the Etherian, they're outside of what we call people, places, and things. So sometimes it's difficult to try and explain to people things from that realm to the realm that we're vibrating on. So sometimes you can't explain it. You have to wait until you visit or get to that stage to understand what they're really trying to convey. That's what a master teacher used words like affirmation. He says, you are all trapped in information, which is inside, in formation. You're inside a planet, inside a zone that, in order for me to teach you things from outside of here, I have to bring them inside. And you want me to explain things outside when you're not able to see or know what's outside. So the limitations that we're faced with in this physical realm make it hard for certain things to even be communicated, but he's still able to do it being a master teacher. So even though we would say pa'ut, if you just said to somebody, that's it, pa'ut. Now what? You can't, what is it? So then he says, pa'ut is. Is what? You're going to say is what because of English, right? So what we're basically saying is that he's saying that I can still give you an English word which will explain it, like all, A-double-L. And then you say in English, what is all? All is. That's the best word to describe Pa'ut in English for you, because you can't, like he said, there's no getting it from somewhere else. Or like it's like, where would you get it from? If all describes all, you can't go beyond that. So the best way to describe Pa'ut to you is to just say the word all. But no one else that's teaching you religion and all of this would give you that term. And they would add something to it, which desecrates it. So they will say the Most High or the all, this, the all that. And then he's like, no, all is. If you want to step outside, learn the language. And then we converse in the language. Because people say, oh, why do you still speak English then? But if I just stood here and started speaking just Noir people throughout the class, no one would know what I'm talking about. So he has to bring affirmation into information in the best way he can until he raises us up to a point where he can take you there and show you, or like, because then you won't need words. You will experience it. And some people are able to travel to these realms and experience things. And then when they come here and try to explain it to you, they can't, because it's like, oh, it was this beautiful light, this feeling I've never had before. But for me to know the feeling, you're gonna have to use something like, you know, like a emotion that, like, have you laughed and cried at the same time? That's a very weird emotion, right? You can't really explain it to someone, but you can experience it. You see, so yeah, that's a great question that they remove things they don't know anything about, and we have to be, as the teachers, the new teachers of this new 24,000 year cycle, we have to teach and explain things. And when we get stuck or we don't know, we go to the master and then he clarifies it for us. Right, we're coming to, oh, we've gone past time. Last
quick one.
Who's that? Sorry, I can't see. So if you say your name and
Zach Phillips, or War, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a quick question. Could you tell me what your thoughts are on Zhang Bito, and also on what's his name? Yeah, on Zhang Bito first of all, and then also on and Simeon Toko.
Okay, I notice you guys always asking us questions about other people, other books, other things you've read or whatever. And unfortunately, yeah, we're not really here to talk about this person or that person or like their stuff, because really, whatever they're teaching, they have to defend it, right? And I'm not trying to be rude or anything. I'm just saying that we teach Wu-Sabat, and just, it's not about my thoughts about what I think about this person or that person, or what this one is teaching. Do you believe them? We deal with Wu-Sabat, and we teach Wu-Sabat, and we are here to answer questions on Wu-Sabat. Those people, me personally, yeah, I'm not familiar with both of the people you just mentioned, but that's because I know that really and truly, there's nobody out there, no one out there right now in this day and time that can give you or take you where Panda Babylon can. And we're not saying that to say don't listen to other people or don't read other books or whatever, but I'm not really concerned with other people. We're concerned with Wu-Sabat and what Dr. Malachi Z. York is teaching us. And I don't know, just a question for you both. I know because both of you share this this Zoom. Do you, or have you both read any books from Prana Babyanun?
Yeah, we're reading them. To be honest with you, the reason I'm asking about those people particularly, Simeon Toko is a guy who kind of kicked the Congolese, the French out of Congo,
Right.
and they killed him like 5 times, and he came back to life and stuff. So it's just about his powers really, and how he whether like how Wu-Sabat teaching around like gaining them type of powers. But the Zhang Bito thing is like, you can watch videos on YouTube where you see, just African traditions and stuff, which are quite powerful, obviously from ancestral worship and stuff, and just the use of that in sort of practical day to day. Well, not day, things that are quite uncommon to the Western mind, but are also very powerful in Black culture. So It's just really understanding that deeper and understanding how we get back to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying, within Wu-Sabat, you will get back those powers. But in terms of like, we've spoken about, like your higher senses, the telepathy, intuition, clairvoyance, and psychometry. But there are other things that, as I mentioned previously, you won't be taught in the public. You have to be a part of the orders to learn and receive certain rituals. And yes, our people in general, all over the globe, do have, especially some of those tribes, do have certain gifts and powers. So it's not uncommon because we don't die anyway, as you know, right? Energy doesn't die, and you can come back again and again. And the master teacher himself is one of those beings because as Tahuti, this is the being that all over the world, different cultures, different people talk about his reincarnation. And even throughout the ancient Egyptian stories, when they talk about Tutankhamun or that being that is, this is where they get that Christ concept from. Yeah. But the point is that really and truly, we can study all these people and there are many people out there, but if we deal with the day and time we're living in and who is here right now and his job and what has been done, what he's been sent to do, we really don't have that much time because you've got 1,000 books he's written to get through for a start. You've got the language to learn. You've got to be in the order so you can go through some of these rituals that we need to, so that we can have and get back certain powers and certain things, which we're not going to talk on in public. So I'm saying that to say, let's not get distracted by other people. You can study and read and get as many people can give you information now. There are many people out there from your Bill Carsons and so many people that give you information, but they don't give you the culture, the language, the things and the way out of here and how we're going to avoid certain things. So we're not saying there aren't other people out there, but yeah, our focus is on Wu-Sabat. I have to look into what you're saying just because it sounds interesting, but I've been in Wu-Sabat for a very long time, and I know there's no one or nothing else out there as a fact. And so yeah, I would commend anyone out there that is about spreading truth, uniting us, and preparing and doing things that's gonna be for our benefit and our future. And this is why we have to link up with everyone that can resonate, with Wu-Sabat. I hope that's helped you in some way. If not, probe next week with any other student teachers. All right. But
that's great. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're gonna have to leave it there. We've gone overboard by 10 minutes already. I just want to thank everyone. Thank you all for coming. If you're not on our Telegram group, the official Telegram group, OSM Vision Wu-Sabat, search it, join it, share the links. Do your best. And until next week, I say wadu.